Mount Banahaw, nestled along the borders of Quezon and Laguna provinces in the southern Tagalog region, has long been seen as a holy place with its sacred and mysterious aura. This sleeping volcano is known as the Bundok Dambana. Pilgrims from all over the Philippines flock to this sacred mountain year-round. Its lush forests and clear waters are believed to have healing qualities, or to be able to protect one against evil. These qualities also make the mountain an ideal source for the items of power known as anting-anting. Over the years, Banahaw has served as a natural fortress for various outlaw and rebel groups. Under charismatic leaders like Hermano Pule, they believed that the mountain not only sheltered them with its difficult terrain and dense plant growth, but also endowed them with supernatural powers. These groups used anting-anting as an equalizing force, a weapon from God that would give them an advantage against the better armed colonizers and oppressors. Even before the arrival of the Spaniards, the natives of the Philippine Islands were known to keep objects that they believed had the power to protect them from harm or provide them with benefits. Such objects, known as anting-anting, included wooden idols, stones, gems, pendants, and animal bones or teeth. Although the exact practices may vary, the belief in particular objects with special powers is spread throughout various groups in the archipelago. Ilocanos, for instance, attribute supernatural power to small stones known as babato or ginginamu, which are revealed by spirits or passed down through generations. The Ifugao believe in linglingo, a special pendant known to enhance virility and fertility. The northern tribes of Luzon have wooden idols known as bulog, to which they attribute the power to bring a plentiful harvest. In 2017, the Baal Foundation published You Shall Be as Gods, Anting-Anting, and the Filipino Quest for Mystical Power. The inaugural book of the Voyager series, which explores the many variations of belief in the Anting-Anting and its role in Philippine history, culture, and psychology. Author Dennis Villegas won the confidence of dozens of the most important anting-anting users and spiritual leaders to delve deep into the origins of various faith communities in the country. He also underwent harrowing tests of physical and spiritual fortitude, all in order to understand the power that the anting-anting continues to hold over the Filipino psyche. This book is the triumphant result of in-depth research coupled with the daring do of first-person gonzo journalism. The following year, the book was recognized as a finalist under the Social Sciences category, non-literary division, at the 37th National Book Awards organized by the National Book Development Board.
In many ways, the work on the Anting-Anting by Dennis Villegas was liberating in many ways, because it frees us from a myopic cultural historical view na nakikita lang nating mga taga Maynila o ng national, na nakikita natin that there are different types of uniqueness in each anting-anting beliefs in the country, but there's also a single, in a way, pattern in all of them, which came from our Austronesian ancestors and which tells us that we are one, we can be one. Diba? We can understand each other and we can build a community that understands each other.
After the Spanish arrived in the Philippines in the 16th century, early chroniclers noted how natives had animistic religious practices, worshipping divinities and spirits like Bathala and various Anito. As Roman Catholicism was established in the archipelago, the native religious beliefs and rituals were eroded and supplanted. However, they could not be completely eliminated. In many cases, native peoples incorporated Christian imagery and beliefs into their native rituals involving the anting-anting. Eventually, these became inextricably linked in the religious consciousness of many Filipinos. objects associated with Christianity, like a splinter of wood from an altar or scrapings from a chalice, took on an additional significance as items of power. Other examples were booklets or pieces of paper inscribed with sacred writings. The Spanish writer and Filipinologist Wenceslao Retana studied one such booklet obtained from captured rebels and found that it contained rehashed Catholic prayer formulas written in Latin, Spanish, and the local dialect. These prayers were seen as having the power to protect one against various misfortunes such as crocodile attacks, snake bites, or capture by Spanish authorities.
Tinanggap natin ang Katolisismo. Hindi tayo uto-uto na ang mga Pilipino ay pinuwersa lang na maging Katoliko. Isang bahagi yun. Pero hindi lang, may agency tayo. Tinransform natin yung mga krus, yung mga rosaryo, yung mga simbolong Katoliko. Ginawa natin anting-anting. Diba? Yung mga simbolong Katoliko for God the Father, omniscient and omnipresent God. Makikita mo yun, disenyo ng triangle na may mata. May triangle na may mata. And also, yung mga krus, yung mga rosaryo, na may kapangyarihan. Diba? May kapangyarihan, may iba't ibang Santo Niñong hubad. May mga partikular na mga kapangyarihan ng mga anting-anting na ito. Na ngayon ay nasa simbolismong Katoliko. At ina-activate kapag mahal na araw, Good Friday, kung kailan pinaniniwalang patay daw ang Kristo. So, you now see that the concept of anting-anting, which was highlighted by Dennis Villegas in his book, In Vibal, about the anting-anting. Ayan yan, it's a very, very colorful manifestation of the endurance of Philippine culture na napakalakas ng ating kultura. Na hanggang ngayon, ito'y nagpapatuloy magmula noon hanggang ngayon. At nagbabago ang uri, nagbabago ang kulturang ito sa pagdaan ng panahon. Although nananatili yung esensya, yung core. Diba? Na ano ito? Ang anting-anting ay para panatilihin ang mabuting kalooban ng tao, ang mabuting niyang kaluluwa, upang siya'y guminhawa. Kaya if you go to anting-anting stores, you'll find anting-anting in all sorts of needs. Wealth, health, diba? Work, career, relationships, name it. Because that is the concept of Filipino kaginhawahan. And mababasa niyo rin kay Dennis Villegas doon sa kanyang aklat sa Vibal, yung interpretation natin doon sa may iba pala tayong interpretation sa Trinity. Iba pala yung Diyos doon sa tres personas. Diba? Yung mga ganun, na you see how colorful our interpretation of the Christian faith is. Hindi lang sa European Christianity.
The desire of Filipinos to resist and overthrow the restraints imposed on them by colonizers was manifested in isolated rebellions throughout the years of Spanish rule. A recurring figure in many of these movements was a charismatic spiritual leader, as exemplified by the likes of Felipe Salvador, Valentin de los Santos, or Maestro Sebio. These leaders were able to articulate and consolidate the grievances of the people and to inspire them to fight back against a more powerful foe, often through belief in the protection of the anting-anting. One of these charismatic leaders was Apolinario de la Cruz, or Hermano Pule, who in the early 19th century ran afoul of the Spanish colonial government after he founded the Cofradia de San Jose, a religious sect for Filipinos based on synthesis of Catholicism and native folk beliefs. These unorthodox teachings were combined with the appropriation of Catholic devotional objects such as rosaries, medals, and scapulars. In 1840, Hermano Pule and his followers fled persecution by ecclesiastical authorities and ensconced themselves in Mount Banahaw, where Pule promised them that their iglesia would be established in the mountain and they would live there forever in paradise. Hermano Pule's self-produced anting-anting appropriated Catholic devotional objects such as rosaries, medals, and scapulars, along with oracion or prayer spells, to protect his followers against the Spaniards. This could be seen as a gesture of rebellion against the friars, who regarded any religious object or idea not authorized by them as sacrilegious. The case of Hermano Pule can be said to illustrate the anting-anting's role as part of the Filipino response to oppression. Although Spanish accounts associated the anting-anting with rebels and criminals, the anting-anting was generally used for defense instead of offense as a protection against evil or bodily harm. The belief that their leaders were imbued with supernatural powers propelled ordinary Filipinos to extraordinary bravery in battle against superior forces. The anting-anting, so enshrined in the lives of oppressed people, figured prominently during the protracted fight for freedom against the Spanish and eventually the American colonizers. There have been various legends and stories, most likely apocryphal, about the use of anting-anting by prominent figures like Andres Bonifacio or Emilio Aguinaldo. As the fighting intensified during the Philippine Revolution and later during the Philippine-American War, the Spanish and eventually the American forces, with several religious movements that cropped up, led by former Katipuneros who aspired to establish the New Jerusalem in the Philippines. These groups of religious rebels were called Colorums, and their leaders, New Messiahs of the Philippines, or Popes, as the Americans derisively called them.
Ang pinag-aaralan ng mga Greek mythology. Sa loob-loob ko, ito kaya mga ito, napag-aralan na yung mga tikbalang, yung mga aswang, yung mga lamang, no? Mga legend natin. Yung mga bagay na yan, kailangan tinuturo sa bata kasi yan ang pinagagalingan o batis na pagkukuhanan mo ng pagka-Pilipino nila . Kung alam nila yan, sa kanila ikumpara yung mga halimbawa sa Greece, yung tungkol kila Psyche, kila Zeus, kila Neptune, Saturn, di ba? Kasi kung nagsisimula ka agad sa mga Greek mythology, o kaya kila Harry Potter, ano mangyayari sa bata? Walang identity. Ang identity niya, kanluranin. Kaya dapat pag-aralan yung mga anting-anting na yan. Yan ang kabuluhan ng pag-aaral ng mga anting-anting at saka mga kababalagan. Kasi yan ang parang totem natin bilang isang lahi. Malalaman mo kung kababayan mo siya sa pamamagitan ng mga ganung mga, sabihin natin, belief system, kung ano yung sistema ng paniniwala nila.
Huwag tayong magsawa. Kahit hindi tayo naninidya, hindi tayo pinapansin ng media, pinapansin mga sports, mga contest, beauty contest, singing contest, lahat na lang ng contest. Hindi ko minamaliit yung mga yan, yung mga popular shows. Naku, nagturo ako ng popular culture nga . Pero ang lahat ng yan, dapat yan ang maging kaluluwa ng lahat ng popular shows, mga telenovela. Bakit ang K-pop, ang mga Korean, pag tinignan mo ang kanilang TV series, may nakaugat kasi sa kasaysayan nila. Sana, lahat ng popular shows must be a vehicle, maging instrumento upang mga batang kalit-liit ang mga bata maintindihan na may lahi tayo ng kadakilaan, kabanalan, kabayanihan.
Today, the center of anting-anting culture in the Philippines would be in Quiapo, in downtown Manila, where anting-anting sellers do brisk business in the vicinity of the famous Quiapo Church. At makeshift stalls or tables laden with baskets full of wares, the sellers offer bronze medallions and various other objects like special stones, gems, crystals, and bones, as well as booklets on folk healing, herbal medicines, and the ever-popular gayuma, or love potions. Despite the general stigma against anting-anting as superstition, many people buy them in the hope that these will bring them favorable results in school exams, jobs, the lottery, or other fields of endeavor. Others seek to be cured of their ailments or to be protected from dangers and accidents. The medallions come in hundreds of different designs. One can choose Jesus, the Virgin Mary, God the Father, the Holy Trinity, or other figures in the Christian hierarchy of angels and saints. Some designs are very simple, like the Tres Pico medallion that depicts a triangle emblazoned with the all-seeing eye. Others have more elaborate designs, like medallions depicting the Infinito Diyos, which is one of the most popular designs for anting-anting. There are others with anthropomorphic figures of gods, often with arcane inscriptions in a mixture of Latin and Tagalog. The letters inscribed might spell out names of God or words of power, written in initials because these are meant to be secret and not spoken out loud, lest their power be used for evil purposes. Other designs are based on folkloric beliefs and lucky symbols. The Kambal Tuko is a fertility talisman popular with couples hoping to conceive a child. Another popular design features the duendeng may hawak na supot na ginto, usually kept in a pocket or purse, displayed on a home altar or glued to a car dashboard. Bullet pendants are much in demand among soldiers, police, and security guards for their purported ability to offer protection against gunfire. Despite the popularity of these commercial amulets, there are those who believe that an authentic anting-anting cannot be bought. According to some hardcore believers, a real anting-anting must be obtained through personal sacrifice or sacrificio. This sacrifice might require one to meditate, to climb a holy mountain such as Mount Banahaw, or to live as a hermit for some time until one is deemed worthy of being granted a powerful anting-anting. A special kind of anting-anting known as mutya is obtained from forests, caves, riverbeds, or other sites in nature. Popular legend has it that the mutya ng saging is a powerful stone that comes from a banana plant. The folklorist Isabelo de los Reyes describes the difficult steps for attaining this amulet. To obtain it, one has to stay at night beside a banana plant, waiting patiently in reclining position for the flower, or stone, to be thrown out in the form of fire. Anyone who tries to possess it should be brave enough to confront the devil that appears to grab the stone. If the man puts the stone in his mouth, he will never be vanquished. There are similar tales of obtaining magical objects by wresting them from otherworldly beings such as etikbalang or lamang lupa. According to certain old Tagalog beliefs, the bones of the dead can be turned into anting-anting, particularly if the bones belong to a person who also possessed an anting-anting. An even more morbid form of anting-anting, called the binurong bata, is derived from the corpse of an aborted or miscarried fetus. Drinking the liquid that seeps from the dead fetus is said to make one impervious to bullets. The famous Cavite outlaw, Leonardo Manicio, better known as Nardong Putik, credited the use of brewed fetus elixir as well as Tres Pico medallion for his ability to survive countless encounters with the police and evade capture during the early 1920s. Folk beliefs pertaining to the anting-anting state that there are secret prayer formulas and spells that can deflect bullets or blades, paralyze attackers, neutralize poison, or exorcise evil spirits. These prayer formulas, called orasyon, are either memorized or written in small notebooks. The anting-anting orasyon may be hayag or revealed, meaning it can be shared and discussed with others. An orasyon that is di hayag, or secret, may never be discussed or spoken aloud. The orasyon is said to be the crucial ingredient that imbues a medallion with the spiritual power to serve as anting-anting. Without it, the medallion is just a piece of metal. After a medallion is consecrated, it is ready to be charged with spiritual power through the repetition of orasyon. This is known as pagpapaandar or pagkakarga. As with the battery, the medallion may need to be charged regularly to avoid losing power. To determine whether or not an anting-anting has bisa or potency, it is put to the test of firepower in a ritual called subukan or tayaan. Such testing events are eagerly anticipated by antingeros and are often held in various parts of the country during Holy Week, which is traditionally believed to be the best time for the ritual.
Pag sinabi po kasing agimat o anting-anting, sa pag-aaral ko may bisa lang yan kapag malilinis ang kalooban at pinapakain ng kalinisan ng kalooban, ng kabanalan, kabayanihan sa pagsunod sa kalooban ng Diyos.
The anting-anting is also an important instrument in folk healing rituals. Many antingeros claim to be able to heal people with their supernatural power. Common folk doctors are known to Tagalogs as hilot, albulario, or manggagamot, and to the Visayans as mananambal. Through a combination of shamanic rituals, Catholic faith, and practical wisdom, these healers are purported to be able to cure minor or even serious illnesses or injuries, and even supernatural ailments caused by evil spirits or curses, such as kulam or usog. For all their purported supernatural power, objects like medallions, booklets, or scarves can still be lost or misplaced. This is why some devout antingeros take it to the next level by tattooing the orasyon and symbols of the anting-anting on their skin. Popular choices for orasyon tattoos are prayer spells to ward off illness. Mystical symbols and figures are also popular, such as the image of the Infinito Dios, the Santo Niño, the Virgin Mary, the Tres Personas, and the Siete Arcángeles. Perhaps even more extreme than tattooing would be the practice of embedding a magical stone or mutya under one's skin, in a ritual known as baon. Others would swallow the mutya in a ritual known as subo. Since the mutya already contains supernatural powers from nature, one does not need to charge it with orasyon. Through these extraordinary rituals, fervent believers in the anting-anting make it a permanent part of their bodies.
Merong aspekto ng hopelessness at saka yung desperation ba. Nakita ko to sa mother ko yung sinang noong bata pa yan, nung malakas pa siya. Pinagyayabang niya yung kanyang anak naging doktor, ganyan. Yung kapatid ko naman dadalhin yung mga gamot. Dadalhin doon sa bukid. Nakasulat kung para saan itong gamot nito. Mga over-the-counter na gamot naman lang yon. Pero sa bukid kasi, na napakalayo sa Kabiasnan, yung kung saan kami lumaki, at ang mga tao hindi naman nakapag-aral ng mas mataas. Parang sa kanila, magic na yung ginagawa ng mother ko kapag merong may sakit sa kanila. May lagnat, pupunta ron, kukuha ng gamot. So yung gamot, yun ang pinaka-substitute doon sa kapangyarihan ng anting-anting nung araw. Na para bagang sa pamamagitan nitong anting-anting neto na produkto ng siyensya, kaya mong gawin ang kahit na ano.
The role of the anting-anting in Filipino culture remains significant, yet enigmatic and often misunderstood. From a psychological perspective, belief in the anting-anting would seem to bring a certain degree of consolation to the believers, who are more likely to belong to disadvantaged and marginalized sectors in society. Filipinos believe that these objects and rituals can protect them against evil, not only from malevolent beings or bad luck, but also the evils that manifest in society and are wrought by those in power. In this way, the anting-anting can be said to level the playing field. From a cultural anthropological perspective, the belief in anting-anting can be seen as a manifestation of pre-Hispanic ancestral beliefs and as a Filipino response to their long history of struggle against colonialism and in post-colonial era against the injustices of an increasingly unequal society. Ultimately, the significance of the anting-anting for the believer remains a matter of deep personal conviction and faith.